Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Not a reaction this time. I'm gonna try not to get overly emotional with this particular video. I say try. Can't promise anything though. So as you all probably know by now, July 22nd, the man, John Michael Osbourne, known throughout the world by his family and his friends and his fans as Ozzy Osbourne, passed away, surrounded by his loved ones. This comes 17 days after the final show, Back to the Beginning in Birmingham. Yeah, it's the 24th now, and I get it. He passed away 2 days ago. Look, I didn't want to. It's not that I didn't want to do something immediately, right? A big part of me just I couldn't do it. One, I didn't want to seem like I was just, taking advantage of, the algorithm surge, everyone searching for Ozzy on every platform known to man. And then I didn't want people to see me in that light. I'm not saying people would. I didn't want to come across that way, right? I didn't want to come across as, oh, well, he's just taking advantage of, people's, heartache right now. And people who are reminiscing and just seeing this fucking chode right here. Just trying to, I didn't want people to see me that way. Right? I know there are a lot of people would probably see my intentions as legitimate and heartfelt and sincere, but then there's people that admittedly, and they wouldn't, they're hurting, they're grieving. I don't want to upset anyone with it. And two, I've been absolutely heartbroken by this. When I found out, it was one of those, didn't want to believe it at first. I was mowing my front lawn and got a text from my dad. Saw it up on my watch, and I was like, what's going on? He doesn't text me out of the blue like this. So I stopped what I was doing and looked at the message, and he said, damn, Ozzy just passed away. And I looked it up, and sure as shit, he was gone. I mean, there's a lot we can all say about Ozzy Osbourne. Fuck. It's just the way he impacted so many people. The way he impacted, in some capacity, right? Whether it was through his music, through his antics on the Osbourne TV series, right? Or I had a friend who didn't even know who Ozzy was until he saw his cameo in Little Nicky, and then became a fan after that. But in some capacity, everyone, was touched by him in some way or another, right? I still remember my first Ozzy or Sabbath moment. Very first time I ever heard his vocals. I was about 8 years old, and at the time, the heaviest stuff I'd ever listened to was what my parents listened to, right? Zeppelin, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, that kind of thing. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Nothing, just good, just classic rock. That's what they listened to. And I was already weird because I grew up in the Bible Belt of the deep South, listening to that when everyone else was listening to country, all that kind of stuff out there, or gospel music, whatever was like, you know, accepted down there. And I was showing up to school rocking Led Zeppelin t-shirts at 8 years old, listening to Zeppelin, The Doors, Pink Floyd, that kind of thing. I was already a little oddball at the time, right? Never felt like I fit in. And my stepdad and I were driving. I think we were on our way. I don't remember what the fuck we were doing, honestly. We were on our way to the grocery store, I think. And it was about a 10-minute drive. And Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song had just finished playing on the classic rock radio station he always listened to, right? It's before, way before, you could just plug your phone into your car and listen to what you wanted to play, right? And next thing I know, it goes straight from Immigrant Song to the opening of War Pigs, and I was like, "What is this? What is this?" And then my stepdad goes, "Oh, you like this shit?" and cranks the living shit out of the volume in that shitty little pickup truck that he had. Speakers were begging for fucking mercy against it, and he was just belting out every fucking word to War Pigs, and I was just immediately just taken back, like it was, that was the heaviest thing I'd ever heard in my fucking life at that point. Um, and he's, "Oh, you like that?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I like that. What is this?" He's like, "It's Ozzy, Black Sabbath." I'm like, "Where has this been my whole life?" And he's like, "I think your mom's got some Ozzy or Sabbath hidden, in her CD case somewhere." Back when, you know, your social status was based on your CD collection. um, we got home and went through the CD collection, didn't see anything. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think she's got another collection right here somewhere." And that's when I also discovered there's a hidden side of my mother I did not know before. I opened this CD case and it was just full of uh, Alice Cooper, Judas Priest, Scorpions, that kind of stuff, right? I'm like, "Who is this woman? Who? Who?" And she didn't have any Sabbath in there, right? I had to beg them to take me to Best Buy later on so I could get some Sabbath CDs because I had some allowance money saved up. But she did have one CD from Oz. No, she had one CD. I was thinking of something else. She had one Ozzy CD in there, and I immediately took the entire case because I was like, "All right, all the artwork looks really fucking cool." And then there's this guy Ozzy right here. My stepdad just said he's the same singer from Black Sabbath, or I think I called him Bat Sabbath at the time because I didn't know what the fuck he said because I was so excited. And put the CD in, and the very first track skips like a motherfucker. So I skip it. I go to track 2, and I just hear this fucking maniacal yell, "All aboard." And then the opening riff to Crazy Train started, and it was sure as shit. She had the Blizzard of Oz on CD, as I have it here in vinyl. Um, this is an old fucking vinyl. It is beat up and it skips a lot, but many like it, but this one is mine. But yeah, that was my very first foray into Ozzy. To me, he was more than just a musician. To me, he everyone called him the Prince of Darkness. I get that. He definitely had a dark edge to him. He had that vibe and everything like that. But for those of us that were the social outcasts, the weirdos, the ones that either A didn't fit in or B didn't want to fit in, we wanted to be different. We didn't give a shit about what society thought about us. He was that light in the darkness for us. He was that beacon saying that it's okay to be different. It's okay to not fit in. It's okay to stand out and be who you want to fucking be. And damn it if Ozzy didn't fucking do that. Every fucking thing about Ozzy was just it's hard to describe. Like, like everyone's trying to say, I wonder who his influences were. This, that, and that. There was none. He didn't try to be like anybody else. He didn't want to be like everybody else, so he made him who he is now. He became the Prince of Darkness because there was no one else like him. And I mean, just he lived his life in his own fucking terms. And when he toward the end, you can tell he was hurting, he was suffering, and death was probably creeping. And he looks and he probably went, "Nah, fuck you. I got one more run in me. You ain't taking me yet." And just that sheer fucking defiance that he always had. It was just that was just his last act of defiance right there. Was like, instead of going gently into the night, nah, he went in true Ozzy Osbourne fashion. And yeah, I mean, I'd go as far as saying, we wouldn't have heavy metal without him. Somebody might have came along eventually and did something like it. I don't think it would have been the same though. There's no doubt in my mind that had it not been for Ozzy and Sabbath, all the music that we love today, all the heavier music that we love today, all the other various subgenres, doom, deathcore, death metal, it can all fucking trace its lineage back to this man. And I'm grateful for it. That just hearing that the first opening riffs to War Pigs and Crazy Train, it set me down the path that I'm on today. It made me, the metalhead that I am today. It made me, it fucking saved my life on so many occasions. Heavy metal did. When the world seemed so dark and bleak and cold, and like I didn't want to be here anymore. You know, there was always some form of music to pull me out of that void. And ultimately, I know I'm not alone in that. And myself and countless others, we have Ozzy Osbourne to thank for that. Um, shit. Yeah. So I wouldn't get emotional, but it's coming. I mean, the, like I said, he went out on his own terms. There'll never be another one like him. We'll, all we can do now is just listen to his music, remember what he left us, and just be thankful for what he did leave us. Sharon and the rest of the kids, Jack, Amy, Kelly, Lewis, the rest of his family, you have my deepest condolences. I can, we're all hurting, we're all heartbroken in the metal community, but what you're going through, just, there's nothing that compares to it. So I'm going to go ahead and, get off here now. That's all I got for you guys. Ozzy, we love you. Thank you for everything. We'll see you on the other side.